Hope that you guys enjoyed your weekend and happy Sunday. We're gonna get back into the week, right? So, this is mentorship class. So, of course, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. What I'm going to do is go ahead and start with the lesson, and then I will open up for questions towards the end. Okay. All right. So today for Mindset Church, I was actually talking about, for if you made it to the Mindset Church today, I was talking about how that old identity wants to keep you stagnant, and it like wants to take back over the show, wants to take that mic back from you. And so when it comes to today's class, I wanted to sort of piggyback off of that same topic. And so I wanted to talk about how your ego is a better actor than you think it is. And I'm talking more these days about that, how to distinguish between the divine, the higher self, and those negative thoughts and all of these different voices. It seems like people need clarity on that, right? And so if we're not careful, you can get tripped up by the spiritual ego, and it will have you thinking that you are in alignment, and you absolutely may not be. So, because not all the time does the ego resist in a loud way, right? It may resist, and it may pretend to be a higher self. And this causes a huge problem for some of my you guys, my friends, my clients. And so I wanted to just speak on that and touch on that today. So, what is the ego? What is the ego? And the ego is, I like to think of my ego as like that piece of me that needs to know. It's like it's looking out for you. It's looking out for you. It needs to know that person that comes around. Like it needs to be familiar with whatever changes you're making. It's like the ego is that part of you that forms identity and keeps you safe. So it's like, this is who I am. This is what I do. I don't do anything else outside of this type of thing, right? That's an identity. And because you have or claim that identity, whatever you do is going to be in alignment with that identity. And if you try to step outside of that, that's where the ego is going to step in, right? So the ego is not bad. It's just someone's that's sort of like on guard for you all the time. Like, I need to know. I need to know what's going on. You're trying to change things. Let me find out. Is this okay for you? Are you capable of doing this? Let me make sure you're safe type of thing. That's how I think of the ego. Um, and so when it's running the show though, it's gonna be in charge by the way that it's in charge is by picking things that are familiar to it, right? Instead of the ego wanting to try new things and expand, you sort of contract when it comes to the ego. It's like, but no, this is who you are, and this is what you do. And do you think that that would really be safe to try something like that? Or do you really think that that's going to work out? You may want to just stick with what you know. It's that type of thing. The ego's job is survival, right? Your soul's job is evolution, evolving, healing, wanting to shift things for your generations before and after you. And that's where the problem comes in because your soul longs for change and expansion, but the ego wants to survive. The ego wants to keep you safe. Okay. And so that ego will sometimes dress up like it is your higher self, like it is your soul talking to you, right? So it'll say, oh, yeah, I am aligned. You'll feel like, yeah, I'm aligned, right? But what's actually showing up is fear, right? Okay. For instance, right? So say you say, I trust in divine timing. I trust in divine timing. That's saying I'm aligned. I'm good. I have faith. But if you don't take action in alignment with the goal, then that's really you having a fear, right? So again, you're really not acting in alignment with, and you're really not exuding that faith that you say that you have. Okay. So that is how your ego will sort of like trick you. Yes, I'm fine. I'm aligned. I believe. I have faith. Yes, I know. I know that God has me. I trust that God has me. I know that God will take care of me. But then you don't take the actions because you fear. Okay. So that's an example of how you can think you are. You can think you are healed. Another one that I see is um, when clients will say, "Oh, I'm healed. It's been 15 years since, I had an issue with love. I know I'm ready." Right? I know that I'm ready. I'm over that fear. Well, you really don't know if you're over that fear until you get in the game and play again, right? Until you actually start dating again or get in a relationship. Only then will you allow yourself or be able to see what really truly still needs to be worked on, right? But if you've been single for 15 years, maybe that's because you've had this fear. So are you truly aligned and healed, right? Or has time just passed by and you haven't had to ever look at the situation, right? So the ego is going to hide in you overthinking things, fears, your worries, your doubts, things like that. Over analyzing. You're doing all of this research, but you're not taking any action. You're not embodying that which you desire. Okay. So we want to be careful with that. We want to be very careful with that because people will think that they are at a specific um level, okay, in their life, but that's because they're blinded by the ego. The ego has them feeling as if they are good, only because no new issues have surfaced or, it's been years since something has transpired, right? Okay, don't be fooled, all right? Um, do not be fooled. And so when you say things like, let me give you some more clues so this helps. When you hear people say, I'll start when I feel more called. Like I'm gonna start on that when I feel more in alignment. That's your ego stalling you. People, I hate it when people say, "Oh yes, I'm working on changing this part of my life, but I just haven't felt I just haven't felt it. Like I need to feel this so that I can do." It's like, no, that's actually the opposite. You have to put it into action first. You have to start doing now. And that ego will paralyze you, hinder you, keep you from taking steps forward. Oh, yeah. It will keep you from making steps forward. You're like, oh, I haven't started yet because I just don't feel that. That's the part of the overriding. You're not always going to feel like doing the thing. If it was that easy, everybody would just be doing it, transforming their lives, evolving, being super abundant. That's not the way that it works. You have to do it when it gets hard. You have to do it when it's hard, right? You have to do it even when you don't feel like it. If you have children or you have animals or you have others that you have to take care of, sometimes you don't feel like it. Sometimes you just want to maybe lay in bed or whatever. You still got to get up and do it. Same thing. So stop waiting for this magical feeling, that you feel you need to feel in order to make some type of movement in your life. Stop it. Just stop it. Okay. That is not your higher self. That's your ego keeping you stagnant. Okay. If you are saying things constantly like, I'm protecting my energy, like, people be like, yes, I don't want to go on social media. They have this business, right? And they have this business. We know that this is part of, growing a business, social media these days. This is the way that people do it. They used to do it with newspapers and commercials and things like that. And so some businesses still can prosper that way. And a lot of companies know the power of social media. And when you are not unable to pay for advertising yourself, right, or pay someone to market your services or products, that's affiliate marketing. If you can't do that, then you need to be marketing it yourself. So I work with a lot of entrepreneurs or coaches or people who have needed to step into this identity. And I used to even be there before years ago. um, and I'd say things like, I'm very private, blah, blah, blah. And, you hear people now saying I'm protecting my energy. I just don't want to, be out there. Well, guess what? Okay. I'm a private person, very private, introvert, actually. Um, People would think that I'm more of a social butterfly, but only in certain circumstances. But for the most part, I'm an introvert. And so, um, I love actually that with the social media, I can turn it off when I want, right? I can just turn it off. And so by me sitting up here saying, "Oh, well, I'm a private person," well, if you get on social, but that would have delayed my work that I needed to be doing. The divine had a plan for me to be doing this work. So the longer I kept saying, "Oh, I'm a private person. I don't want to get on TikTok divine," which I did. I'm like, I don't want to get on. I don't want to. I don't want to be on social media. Like, the more and more I would say that, the more and more it actually delayed my purpose. And actually, people don't have to know anything that I don't tell them. So I still get to have my privacy, right? Okay. And so when you hear people saying things like, I'm protecting my energy, just know that that's actually a fear of them being seen. Okay. They have a fear of being seen. All right. Um, Another one is if you hear people saying, "Oh, I um I don't chase, I attract," right? But they're not taking any steps towards or any movement towards the actions and what they should be doing. That's a problem. Okay. You must take aligned steps. Okay. And if once you are taking those aligned steps, right, you will notice that things will be attracted to you. Okay. And so it feels real. The ego, it's going to feel like, damn, I'm really trying to, I'm really trying to do something, but the ego is like really preventing me. It's like really trying to get in my way. It's like really bothering me, that type of thing, right? The ego, right? It's almost like it's mimicking your voice perfectly. It mimics your voice perfectly. So you will think that it is, like you know, trying to talk yourself out of it, or like you will feel like maybe, wow, maybe this isn't for me, or maybe I shouldn't be doing this, or maybe I shouldn't go get this job, or maybe this will be too much, right? And so the ego is going to try to communicate in these ways again because the ego is in survival mode. Okay. It's going to use even spiritual language that you've absorbed over the time, boundaries, alignment, waiting on signs, that type of stuff. When you hear people saying that type of stuff, the ego will use lingo like that. Okay. And you'll feel like you're on track, but that you'll be stuck in a spiritual loop that keeps you safe, that keeps you small, right? That keeps you unseen. So the ego is going to feel real. It is going to contract. It's going to feel like contracting, like you're doing less. It wants you to do less. It wants you to remain the same. The expansion is you will know from your higher self, okay? From your higher self, all right? And let's look at some warning signs that the ego is acting like it's in alignment. Okay. Again, you're doing the work, but nothing is changing. Why? Why is it that when I'm doing the work, nothing is changing? Okay. You feel drained just from thinking, but your growth is not happening because you're not embodying. You're doing the work, but nothing is changing because you're truly not embodying. You're so drained from just thinking. You feel drained from thinking about what I'm going to do, how I'm going to do it. When I've told you that multiple times, your job isn't even to figure out the how or the when. That's for the divine. The why and the what is yours. The why and the what is yours. But the when and the how is the divine's. Okay. All right. So we recognize when the ego is acting like it's in alignment, when we're doing all this thinking and but we're not making any movement towards being in alignment with it because we're not embodying it. All right. And if you've ever found yourself setting these specific goals, like big goals, but secretly hoping, like, oh my gosh, I hope it doesn't happen now because I'm really not ready for this, then you know that that is a sign that the ego is acting aligned. Because again, you want this grand thing, but you're secretly hoping it doesn't come to fruition. That's a mixed match, right? So I'm going to wrap it up there, but I do want to maybe give you guys some tips. You can start doing like mirror work. You know, if you are familiar with mirror work, you're going to stand in front of the mirror and, tell yourself, affirm certain things, ask affirmations. And so for this particular issue when it comes to the ego, right? We can ask ourselves while looking in the mirror, we can say, is this voice grounded in truth? Is this voice grounded in truth? As you're looking at yourself in the mirror, you can ask whatever thoughts come up, ask, am I expanding or am I just explaining things over and over and over again, right? Okay. Am I listening to my body's wisdom? Or am I listening to, my mind's worry, right? Um, so asking yourself things like that in the mirror, affirming certain things in the mirror. Also, you can do the Nikki method to sort of catch your thoughts, right? Again, we're talking about the ego, right? So we want to utilize the Nikki method, okay, to catch the thought, come back into alignment, breathe, regulate the system, reaffirm your truth. Okay? Because the ego loves loops. The ego loves loops. So you got to interrupt the loop with being present. And that means utilizing the Nikki method. Some affirmations you can utilize is I recognize the difference between fear and truth. I recognize the difference between fear and truth. I move even when I'm afraid, because I'm safe to grow. I move even when I'm afraid because I am safe to grow. Okay. Right. And so those are some affirmations that you can utilize. And if you guys have any questions, please, please, please do not hesitate to ask me. I would love, love, love to dive deeper into this if you guys have any specific questions that you need answered. Okay. I'm going to stop the recording now.